Hey guys, welcome to episode number 8 of the podcast. I hope you're enjoying the new episodes as much as I am. But today's topic is really more specifically to those that have a big vision, that want more from their life, and maybe have a business or maybe are running a company of some description, or even just someone that wants to do that at some point. Now, the reason why this is of interest to me is because a lot of my clients are business owners, and a lot of the conversations that I'm having with them are very much, they're either super exciting conversations about new ideas, new kind of plans, new projects that are kind of lighting them up in some way, or they're conversations around how things aren't going to plan, and all of a sudden, there doesn't really look like there's no clarity. Let me put it simply. So it's either a really cool conversation about all these exciting things that are working out and planning and sort of moving in the right direction, or it's a conversation of everything's shit. And the reason why I kind of love these conversations is because that was mostly my experience as well, even with this particular business, my previous business as well. You'd have days where you'd be absolutely flying, you'd be feeling really good, and you'd be feeling optimistic, positive for the future. And then all of a sudden you'd have days where you literally just couldn't be asked to get out of bed. You just didn't have the motivation to even get up in the morning. You just keep hitting snooze on your phone. And you knew that like being in that state wasn't really going to help. But sometimes it was just, I remember some days I'd just be like, can't be bothered, just can't be bothered to do anything. And so you've got these kind of like two different states. You've got a state where you wake up, you feel good, you're buzzing, you've got that kind of Monday feeling. Like I had a message from a client this morning saying, I finally got that Monday feeling back again, like the positive Monday feeling, not the like the 9 till 5 Monday feeling where people are dreading it. No, I mean for entrepreneurs, creatives, people that are moving forwards, I find that they typically enjoy Mondays because it's like the start of a new week, new opportunity, and a kind of chance to move in the right direction. So why this is relevant is because I find that this up and down nature, I found it fascinating. Like I've obviously for me, I've been through the experience of running a business, and I've also had a passion for psychology, had a passion for our spiritual experience as to how we actually work as humans. So for me, seeing and experiencing the up and down nature was just like, what the hell is going on here? Because someone that's got an understanding of the mind, and someone that's got an understanding of their own thoughts, and how it impacts the way that I think. How it impacts the way that I feel on a day-to-day basis. I've really come to see that. When I'm thinking about things that are exciting, when I'm thinking about things that are positive, the feeling follows. So I tend to feel better. I feel good. I feel optimistic. I feel excited. And then what happens is somewhere along the line, something doesn't match up to my thinking. So my thinking is kind of like, the future looks good. The future's positive. This is all lined up perfectly. And whilst it's lined up perfectly, whilst the outside world matches my expectations, or my kind of, matches my internal dialogue with myself, everything's good. Everything is perfect. Everything's moving in the right direction. And I'm feeling very grounded, very good, very optimistic. And then what would happen, like literally with a click of a finger, something wouldn't, it wouldn't match up to the way that I wanted it to match up to, right? It didn't fit with my plan. And life's a bit like that, right? Like life tends to give us things that we don't always predict. I think that our ability to respond to what life throws at us, especially in business, is something that if people were better at that, if the people were better at responding to what life is offering them, they would do better. Life would be more enjoyable. So going back to my point, when something doesn't fit my internal dialogue, it then completely threw my plans, and all of a sudden my thinking would switch. So my thoughts would switch. I'd go from feeling optimistic, I'd go from feeling, positive, to feeling like, oh yeah, like everything's moving in the right direction, I'm in control and things are happening, to, oh, this isn't working, what's wrong? This isn't gonna work. All of a sudden everything's gonna like fall apart, I'm gonna lose everything, I'm gonna crash and burn, what am I gonna do if that happens? And all of a sudden I don't do this anymore, but I used to spiral, I used to spiral out of control. And I'd start investing more and more thoughts in the direction of what if, oh crap, like this isn't working, so that means this, and if that happens, then that means that might happen, and God, if that happens, then, that's not good at all, and I don't know how I'm going to feel about that, what am I going to do about that? And all of a sudden I'm investing all this energy, all of my focus on thoughts that bring about not a particularly productive feeling tone. Now, I've spoken to a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners about this, and this is an aspect that they kind of don't like, but do like. And what I mean by that is they say, yeah, but when I feel this way, it means I change my actions. I totally get that. Totally get on board with that, because when you see a potential risk in the future, it's useful to change your actions now, of course. However, that's the useful part. The unuseful part is still playing that CD round and round and round in your head, still playing those thoughts over and over again. And this is probably the difference between when a client comes to me and they come to me and they're just playing around these fears and these worries, and they're focused on a lot of the negative, versus when they leave or when they just continue working with me, that they tend to be more positive, because my kind of coaching really is all about, it's not about feeling more positive and thinking more positive, but it's about recognizing how much time we're investing in negative feelings, feelings that don't really inspire us, feelings that keep us kind of feeling quite small, and if we understand, and this is where I'm going to get to my point, if we understand that our experience of life is dictated by the thoughts that we experience, the thoughts that we have, our thinking about life dictates the way in which we operate through life, right? And what I mean by this is your whole reality can shift depending on where your thoughts are focused. You can wake up one morning, right, and you can feel really good. And the reason why you feel really good is probably because your thoughts are pointing in a direction of good feeling. Nothing's changed. Nothing's changed. You still wake up in the same house, you still wake up in the same environment, you still wake up with the same business, with the same partner, with the same car. And then on the flip side, the next day, you can wake up and your thoughts can be focused on something a little bit less positive, and all of a sudden everything feels different. Everything feels different. I remember a client of mine, he used to drive an M4, and he said to me, he'd go out into the garage and some days it would be like the best thing ever, literally like, oh, I absolutely fucking love my car, I really enjoy it, he'd enjoy every second of driving it. And then some days he'd go out there and look at it and be like, what a waste of money, why have I got this for? I don't even enjoy it that much, I might just sell it, And it's really fascinating because we're just kind of laughing around this, because that, to me, nothing changed on the outside, just something changed on the inside. And his thinking about it was different based on where his focus was. And again, it's not to say that think positive and just think less negative thoughts. No, that's impossible to do, because I'd like to meet someone that can control their thoughts. I'd like to meet someone that can control what they actually think about and what thoughts come in and out of their mind. It's not about controlling your thoughts or your feelings. It's about recognizing, being aware, like it's the awareness of, right? It's the awareness of, cool, my experience right now isn't coming from a nice place. Interesting. And as soon as you notice that, more often than not, it kind of falls away. As soon as you notice that you are literally just entertaining a thought that probably isn't true, but doesn't make you feel good, and is detrimental to, just your feeling, you can change that quite quickly. And it's not about manufacturing a positive thought, just think more positively. It's actually just about noticing when you're spending time in a negative thought, but you don't even know if it's true. Because one thing I've realized is 80% of my fears, my frustrations, my anxieties never actually, turn into anything. A lot of the things that I worry about, I remember like stressing about so much when I was early days in business financially, just worried all the time. Like, how am I going to pay my bills? Like, oh my God, I've got this debt that needs clearing. And the more I used to think about it, the more it used to stress me out. And the funny thing was, the more stressed I got, the more pressured I felt. And the shitter I would do in business, like, it would kick me up the arse, but I'd find myself, making kind of fear-based decisions rather than optimistic, kind of positive decisions based on where I want to be coming from. And what was ironic is the bills always got paid. There was always a solution. Things always got solved, without me really even having to think about it. So I started to get to a point where I was like, what if I don't have to think about it? What if I don't have to think about these things as much as what I do? It's not a case of what if I don't have to think about them at all? Because like I said earlier, sometimes it's useful. Sometimes thinking about it can point you in a new direction. And it can it can alter your action in the moment, but can obviously then impact something 3 months, 6 months down the line. So again, this isn't about thinking more positively, thinking less negatively. It's just noticing when is it useful and when is it not useful. When is it useful and when is it less useful? And only you will know that for yourself. And like I said, well, like I didn't say, but like I'm about to say, if you understand what is thinking, what is thought exactly? We have these thoughts, we have these thought patterns that cycle around in our minds. Yet, can you show me it? Can you point to it? Can you, all we can really do is describe this illusory kind of energy that we all get to have. Like, thought is literally a creative power that every single human is gifted with. And we can use it to either create an epic experience of life or use it to create a really shit experience of life, right? But it's not a physical thing until it's made physical. Thought, like an idea, if you're an entrepreneur and you have ideas, that idea is not real. It's actually kind of like metaphysical. It's just energy at this moment in time. It's like literally Play-Doh until you put it into action. So what's funny with negative thoughts is negative thoughts aren't real. They're not actually physical. They're not in form. But if you keep entertaining them, you will start to create them in form, right? And that's what's funny is like we get so scared of our thoughts. We're so afraid of what we think about that we really do believe it's true. We really do believe it's real. But if we saw that, actually, do you know what? Yes, it's fucking powerful. Like I said, for the ability to think, the ability to analyze your environment and sort of through your sensory system, define things based on thought, powerful. Can totally create your world. It can create your future, and it also creates your reality right now based on how you think. You know what I spoke about earlier, your reality can shift based on your thinking in that moment. You can have different thoughts about a car within the space of 24 hours, 12 hours, 2 hours, 3 hours, depending on where your experience is coming from. But if we understand that thought is the creative power before form, we no longer have to spend so much time getting caught up in it, really getting lost in it. It's like we really do believe that there is a bear chasing us. No, we're just thinking about it. It's like, I always use this analogy. I love this analogy about when we dream, or I don't know about you, but when I was a kid, I used to have nightmares and stuff like that. And, you'd wake up in the middle of the night and you'd be sort of, imagining something obviously very scary. And I find it fascinating how you're in bed, you're actually in bed, it's nice and warm, you're pretty safe. And yet in your mind, you are like experiencing this crazy dream. And your heart rate increases and you go into kind of like that fight or flight response. And you wake up and you're like, whoa, shit, and you wake up and you're like, fucking hell. And even though you're awake and you've woken up to that dream or that nightmare, you still notice things around the room. You're like, shit, is there someone in the house, and you still feel a little bit on edge, even though you know that it was a nightmare. You still have that kind of afterglow of the dream in your body. And the same is true for when we operate on a day-to-day basis. We're going to have thoughts, we're going to experience the feeling, because thought and feeling are the same, they're made of the same stuff. And just because you see it, just because you recognize you're in your thinking, it's not actually real. That doesn't mean it's going to disappear. It doesn't mean you're going to feel better instantly. But you just know, because you understand that, do you know what? Like, I'm just thinking about it. It's not real right now. It's not real just yet. And I'm talking about, these are fears and future fears. If there's something that's currently in your life right now that looks really real, again, yeah, it might be real, but you can make that experience much worse for yourself by investing a lot of negative thought into it, by letting your thoughts spiral. And if you notice, the way you notice that your thoughts are spiraling is literally the mood you're in. If you feel shit and you feel negative, you've been in that negative thought tone for too long, and it's up to you to notice how quickly you come down, how quickly and how volatile you are based on your thoughts. Your mood will follow your thinking. The problem is you may not always be necessarily aware of your thinking because it can be subconscious. The positive is we have feelings that let us know where our experience is coming from. So when we're feeling good, when we're feeling optimistic, when we're feeling abundant, when we're feeling like there's possibility, for me personally, that is our natural state. That is what I see to be our natural state. And my job really as a coach is to help people return back to their natural state more often, to come at life with more fun, more playful energy, in business and life, where they can create, achieve, but also enjoy the process of, So in today's episode, I've kind of gone a little bit deeper in thought and some of the experiences that I've kind of discussed with clients, etc. But I guess if there's anything to think about is to sort of, notice where your experience of life is coming from. And where would you like your experience to come from more of the time? And how aware are you of your thoughts, your feelings? Because that roller coaster that you think you're on, it's not actually real. It's not a real roller coaster. It's made of thought. It's a thought-created roller coaster. It's not a real roller coaster. And I think if you see that, and you notice that, and you can recognize that, you don't have to be so scared of life. You don't have to be so afraid of business and stuff like that. All these thoughts that happen. Yeah, they feel real. Of course they do, because we're human and we're experiencing life. That's what we do. We're observing and experiencing life, right? But we don't have to, it's not real. Does that make sense? So anyway, I'm gonna let you ponder that, and I'm not sure what the next episode will be. But again, if you feel free, if you fancy following me, come find me on social, Facebook, Instagram. I'm always around, and hope you enjoyed this episode. Feel free to share, feel free to write a review if you fancy it, and I'll catch you soon. Take care. See you later. Bye bye.